thankful to God for this being the first day of the week, this being the Lord's Day. We're thankful to God for this opportunity that we have on this particular day to come together as His people, as His children, as His saints, to be able to worship and honor and glorify Him in word and in deed. And we're thankful for you all being here with us for this very purpose and this very reason. We want to let you know that if you are in fact visiting and this is your first time visiting here with us at Easthaven Church of Christ, you all are honored and esteemed and welcome guests. And we want you to know that you are very much welcome here anytime that we have any services here at Easthaven Church of Christ. Amen. One of the things that we ought to understand just by simple everyday living is that all of us are connected one to another. Yeah. None of us live independent of anyone else. If you don't believe me, turn in your Bibles to Romans chapter 14, verse number 7. We know there's Romans 14 at the close of our Bible class, but I want you to focus on verse number 7. Paul says these words to help us appreciate that as we live as Christians, as civilians, as we live as American citizens, as humanity in general, all of us are connected to each other. Right. In Romans 14:7, Paul says, for none of us liveth to himself, and no man dieth to himself. No. Paul is simply saying that nobody lives independent of anybody else. No man lives on an island, like y'all remember the movie Tom Hanks and Castaway, on that island all by himself. You may think that's reality, but it's not. We all live dependent on each other. We are connected one to another. Because in Romans 14 and verse number 7, the latter part of the phrase, he says, and no man dieth to himself. Even when people who have no identity, they are complete strangers, and they have a group of people out in California, a lot of foreign people who come to this country, who die through criminal activity, through drugs, and they are unidentified. Even when you die with no family members, somebody got to go and retrieve that body. Yeah. So we are all connected. A better way that we can understand this, I want you to think about this. And this is how you know that we're all connected. Every one of us works for each other. Amen. There is not a job, an occupation, or a profession where we don't work for each other. Can you name one? We all work for each other. Think about it, the garbage man. As lowly as that job is, the garbage man works for us. If we don't throw away garbage, he don't have a job. Janitors, they work for us. We are connected in them. We need somebody to clean up after us. When you go to the movie theater, spilling all your popcorn, all your Coke and all your candy, somebody got to clean up after you. Yeah. So we are all connected even by our professions. So when we understand that, do understand this. At the heart of our existence is relationships. We are all connected by virtue of the fact that we are all humans. So with that being said, as we've been looking at this idea of stop listening to the wrong people, you're listening to the wrong people. Sometimes even when it comes down to our relationships, how we deal with one another, how we interact with one another, and how we coexist with one another, sometimes we are told bad information concerning our relationship. I want you to notice this. Look at all of these different dynamics, these different relationships. Now, if a person tells me that they are not in one of these relationships or dynamics, I can tell you they not operating with reality. Because you're either in one of these relationships, or you will be, or you have been. Think about a husband and wife, parent and child, family relationships, teacher, student, employee, employer, bosses, creditors. Now y'all know we're in that relationship. You think about all these different dynamics, and sometimes in these relationships, these dynamics, we get told the wrong information in how we deal with it. But I want you to notice, let's go back to Genesis 37, because there's a point I need to make from the life of Joseph. Joseph's own brothers plotted, tortured, and sold him into slavery. In Genesis 37, Brother Hammond, I want you to notice verse number 18 again, our text.
And when they saw him,
Read on.
afar off, even before he came near unto them,
They
they conspired against him.
They conspired against him, that they are his brothers. And sometimes people are deceived and thinking that blood is thicker than water. Familial blood. No, sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes our own worst enemies are your family.
Amen.
Some of the people who cause us the most harm, hurt, injury, and damage are family members. Ask Joseph. Read on.
And they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh.
This dreamer coming. Here comes the dreamer. Joseph, with all his grandiose dreams and what he going to be, and we going to bow down to him. Here comes this dreamer. But if we kill him, he won't have any dreams. Read on.
Come now, therefore, and let us slay him, and cast him into some pit, and we will say, some evil beast had destroyed him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams.
What's going to become of his dreams if we kill him? If he's dead and gone, if he's put out of our misery, put out of our thinking, what's going to become of his dream? You know, that's what they said to Martin Luther King.
Right.
If we kill him. I have a dream. The portion of that dream won't come to pass. The same thing was said about Joseph. And so this is coming from not his enemies, not people who dislike him, but from his own blood brothers. But notice verse number 21, because the point we need to make here. Notice who speaks up and says.
And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hand.
Reuben heard it. He delivers Joseph out of their hand.
And said, let us not kill him.
Let us not kill him. Read on.
And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him into that pit.
Now Reuben said, let's not kill him. Well, let's put him in the pit. What you need to appreciate and realize, according to Genesis 35:23, Reuben was the older brother.
That's right.
Genesis 35:23, these are the sons of Leah, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. He is the older brother. And you know as well as I know, you got older brothers and sisters. The oldest one supposed to be the most responsible one. And so here's Reuben, supposed to be the firstborn, the oldest one, the most responsible one. He should have said, no, we ain't going to do nothing to our brother.
Right.
But he says, we'll put him in a pit. You see what happened was Reuben? He was listening to his younger brothers. And sometimes when we listen to those people who don't mean any good, who mean harm and ill will, sometimes they give us bad advice. Joseph ended up in Egypt because Reuben didn't stand up for him. That's amazing when you think about it.
Amen.
So you can see even sometimes in our familiar relationship, we can be told the wrong thing or given bad advice. I want you to consider this. Notice now, this is what the world does. The world teaches hatred. The world teaches rejection. The world teaches dismissal. The world teaches death. The world teaches violence. The world teaches divorce and separation. Why? You see, when the world does not want to deal with a person, does not want to deal with a situation or a solution, they'll tell you, do all these things right here.
Okay.
But I want you to know this. There's a difference. There's a difference from what the world teaches.
Amen.
As opposed to what the word teaches. The word teaches love. The word teaches obedience. The word teaches reconciliation. The word teaches forgiveness. The word teaches peace and honesty and integrity and kindness and mercy and long suffering. That's what the word teaches. And when we understand what the word teaches, guess what we're going to make better? Our relationships. I want you to notice this. Let's notice a couple of those relationships that we mentioned earlier. Y'all stick with me. Because what happens in our relationships, when we don't have our way, we don't get our way, you'll have somebody in your ear telling you to do something contrary to what the word says. Sometimes men in marriages they get around other men. And they start talking about their wives. And then those men to tell those men that, you know what, well, my wife does this and my wife don't do that. And you want to leave her. That ain't what the word says. In Colossians chapter 3, and verse number 19, Paul says, husbands,
love your wife.
Love your wives.
And be not bitter against them.
And be not bitter against them. Isn't that contrary to what the world teaches? You got men in your ear, your friends, your best friends, your classmates, people on the job. Man, you know I want to put up with a woman like that. Well, if you're trying to do right by God, you would. Because Paul tells these husbands, don't be bitter against your wives. You got to love your wife. That's the agape type love. You got to serve your wife. You know when your wife said, honey, can you give me some drink? Bring me something to eat back. Stop by the store. No wives love saying that. Stop by the store. It's just something. You know wives always think you some way in close proximity to a store. Guess what we got to do? Stop by the store. That's what Paul is saying. Husbands, love your wives. Serve your wives. If your wife asks you to do something within your power, you should do it. Why? Because that's your wife. That is different than from the world teaches. Love your wives. Well, then wives have a responsibility. Wives have a responsibility to obey. Look at 1 Peter chapter 3. Sometimes women get around their friends, their female friends. I wouldn't put up with a man like that. Girl, you better leave him. That ain't what the Bible teaches. The Bible don't teach that. No, ma'am, no, sir. 1 Peter chapter 3, notice what Peter says.
Likewise, you wives, be in subjection to your own
The first thing, wives have to be in subjection to your own husbands. Be in subjection, be in submission. The Bible teaches that. Can't get around that. I tell young people all the time, if you don't want to do that, in premarital counseling, y'all need to go ahead and figure that out. Because it's not going to get better when you say I do. If she won't submit in premarital counseling while y'all dating, while y'all engaged, marriage not going to help that. That's right. Marriage don't change people. That's right. If he won't lead, protect, and provide now, he's not going to change. You can do all the praying. You can talk to all of your girlfriend. You can listen to the talk. You can listen to the View. You can listen to Oprah. You can listen to Gail. He ain't going to change. He ain't changing. But you should know that before you go into it. So many times we are naive in thinking that marriage going to solve these problems that existed before we got married. It does not do that. Sometimes marriage makes matters worse. Right. Because people have in the back of their mind, I already got him now. I got him now. And so I ain't got to change. I don't have to do better. I can be the same on me, if not worse. Because I got him now. What does he say? 1 Peter chapter 3.
If any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by their conversation of the wife.
What was happening in Peter's day? You had some wives who were Christians before their husbands were. And so, more than likely, there was a difficulty in those wives trying to convert these heathen husbands. And so Peter is telling them, if they don't obey the word, the first term word is the word of God. They may, without the word, be won how? By your conversation. In verse number 2, as they behold your chaste conversation. So what Peter is trying to get those women, those Christian women, to understand, you are married to an unbeliever. You need to be trying to live in such a way as to try to convert that unbelieving husband to Christ. What else does he say?
Who adore, let it not be the outward appearance adore. Of plaiting the hair and wearing of gold or putting on array. So
Peter says, stop putting so much emphasis on the external. You try to win this unbelieving husband. You can be as fine and pretty as you want to and let your husband go to hell.
Yes, sir. Right.
That's what he's saying. You
gonna
let that man that you sleep in the bed with, that you got a joint bank account with, that y'all got y'all name on that mortgage with, you gonna let that man go to hell.
Be lost. Be lost.
So he is saying, put putting more emphasis on the inner woman, that inner beauty. Look at verse number 4.
But let it be the hidden man of the heart, and that which is not corruptible, even the armor of a meek and quiet spirit.
So Peter says,
which is,
what you need to focus on? Don't be thinking about you can just leave him because he's an unbeliever, that he ain't doing what you want him to do. He said, no, don't think like that. Focus on your inner beauty, those inner qualities. So even in marriage, you don't see the Bible telling people just throw in the towel. Throw your hands up. If it ain't going the way you want to, just give up and find you somebody else. The Bible don't teach that.
No.
The Bible don't teach it because you ain't getting your way and your husband not doing this and the wife not doing that. You know what? I'm just going to find me somebody else. I ain't putting up with this stuff right here. The Bible don't teach it at all. The Bible is showing us working things out through love and long suffering and patience and kindness. That's what we ought to do in our marriages. Do understand this. Everybody who's married in this room can tell you marriage ain't no walk down the road. It's just no walk in the park. It's something that must be worked at. Marriage is complex. It has its ups and its downs, its ins and its outs. These got to be worked out. And so the Bible does not give us the idea of the notion, the connotation that we all just throw in the towel. Difficult times come. Young people who are not married. There's some folks sitting here can tell you some things about marriage. But what you cannot afford to happen is, don't be listening to these folks outside of your marriage telling you what to do inside of your marriage. Isn't that crazy? You're talking to single men and single women who've never been married, and they try to tell you how to operate within a marriage. The craziest thing I ever heard in my life. It's like a man telling you who's never been in school how to read a book.
That's all right, friend.
So in a marriage relationship, God is telling us how things can be worked out. We move on from the marriage relationship, we go down to parents. In the parental relationship, let's not get this thing backwards. Children are not the parents. In Ephesians chapter 6, Paul says like this. Children, obey your parents in the Lord. We got it backwards.
This is right.
We let the parents obey the children in the Lord. That's not what he says. Let me tell you. Everybody in this room knows the old proverbial saying, I'm not my child's best friend. Oh, no. This ain't the one made us say that there's no relationship between parent and child. It just simply set boundaries between who was in control. I've always been under the impression, even now as a grown man, that my mother is still an authoritative figure. I can't disrespect my mother now that I'm a grown man. I can't talk to my father any kind of way because I'm a grown man.
Pretty good.
I'm still a child. And they let me know that soon as I go home.
That's all right. Yes, sir.
And children ought to stay in children's places. That's why Paul says, children, obey your parents in the Lord. What's the implication of verse number 1? That whatever parents tell children to do, as Jesus' mother told him, whatever he say to you, just do it.
Do it. That's right.
What are they supposed to obey? Whatever the parents tell them to do. Why? Honor thy father and thy mother.
Which is the first commandment.
It's the first commandment with promise. That it may be what?
May be well with thee.
See, we understand Ephesians 6, verse number 3, because parents are trying to keep us out of trouble. And they're trying to tell us what's right. And they ought to be telling us what is right. They ought to be living before us what is right. They ought to be examples. They ought to be models before us. So he says, that may be well with thee, that they may live long upon the earth. Hard-headed children. Disobedient children. Children who refuse to listen and obey parents and guardians and teachers, those persons who try to teach them what is right, don't be surprised if there's a shortening of life.
Right. Amen.
When you feel this.
Amen.
That's the point he's making. He is saying when you fail to listen to people who've lived longer than you and you go out here with your own mind and your own decisions, he is saying you can end up shortening your life. That's why we urge our young people. And I know we got some good young people.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm just reminding them that you got to listen to your parents, your grandparents,
Right.
people who have lived. We always remind our children. We were 12. We were 13.
Oh, yeah.
We did some things. We've been there. We've done that. We can relate. I think many times children think because they're 12 and 13 and you 30 and 40 and 50 over here that there's no relatability.
All right.
I mean, who better to relate to that's about who've already been your age?
Yeah. Right.
And so Paul is telling those parents, you have to teach your children. That's why he says in verse number 4, and ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and the admonition of the Lord. Fathers, we need to understand children need to be taught before they are beat.
Amen.
It's all right.
He says you got to teach them. You got to nurture them.
Bring them up.
Bring them up in that kind of teaching, in that kind of environment.
Uh-huh.
So many men can tell you, if I look at somebody the wrong way, I got hit over the head. That's not God's method.
No.
We got to be taught before we beat. So many times children grow up afraid of their parents, especially fathers, because fathers don't know how to discipline. Thus, they don't know how to parent. And so what you see in Scripture is, the Bible don't say anything about a spare rod. No. The rod comes in after the fact.
Okay.
And so what we realize, even in parental relationships, there must be teaching, there must be nurturing, and there must be obedience. Sometimes you listen to these folks telling you about your children, don't look him. He'll grow out of it.
No, sir. No.
Don't touch them. You know what? They're just a child.
Yeah.
Children are human beings who grow up
How do you talk?
and learn bad habits and practice bad habits.
Yeah.
And until you curb bad habits, they will continue with bad habits.
Yeah.
And so what we need to understand is, don't listen to people who don't know anything about parenting the right way and let them give you bad advice. And the next thing you know, you grow up with a criminal in your house. Because you failed to discipline him or her. It's amazing how many times people that other people tell them how to discipline their children like they know your children. And so Paul is saying, parents, we got to teach them, they got to obey, they got to submit. It's a wonderful thing when parents and children coexist, where there's peace and love and respect in the home.
Amen.
And you can see it.
Uh-huh.
But when there's hostility, and there's anger and frustration, that's why sometimes you hear young people all the time, I can't wait till I get 18. I just want to run away. Why? Because they're living with some parents that their relationship is so hostile and so volatile, they don't even want to be there. And so it ought to be a good thing that the young people that you bring into the world, that they want to live under the same roof with you. And so that is a great relationship. That is a great dynamic. Not only that, what about family? In the family sometimes. In their relationship, there must exist reconciliation and forgiveness. I want you to know this, Ephesians chapter 4.
All right.
Ephesians chapter 4, in the family sometimes. Sometimes in the family be so much bad blood.
Yeah.
Ephesians chapter 4, verse number 31, notice what Paul says. I want you to notice these words in Ephesians 4, verse 31.
Let all.
Let all. Paul is saying get rid of everything.
Let all.
Let all what?
Bitterness.
Bitterness.
And wrath.
Wrath.
And anger.
And anger.
And clamor.
And clamor.
And evil speaking.
Evil speaking.
Be put away from you.
With all malice. Notice the word that he used. We talk about the family now. Bitterness. We're talking about extreme wickedness. You think about Joseph's family and how they plotted against him. That was bitterness.
Yes.
Wrath. That's anger. Boiling over. Passionate heat. You ever see somebody get so mad like their eyes glowing? That's the kind of wrath he's talking about.
Right.
That you get so hot, so mad. Then he says anger. That's the extended form of wrath. He is saying, you ever been so mad at somebody that you was going to hurt them? That's the anger he's talking about. Clamor. The word clamor, that means an outcry. People always murmuring and complaining about everything, always nagging. Evil speaking, that's blasphemy. And then malice, ill will. That's in the family sometimes.
Yes.
And people wonder why we can't never get together for the holidays.
Wow.
We can't never get together and have a family reunion. We can't never sit together and have a family meal together. Why? Because we got all that stuff going on in the family. But then the answer to that is verse number 32.
And be ye kind.
Be ye kind.
One to another.
One toward another.
Tenderhearted.
Tenderhearted.
Forgiving one another.
That got to exist in the family. Let me tell you something. And we ain't simply just talking about the Hatfields and McCoys right now. We talking about the Jones and the Smiths and the Wrights and the Lewises. Our modern day families.
Yes.
There's so much hatred and bad blood that we can't even have family functions. Paul is saying what needs to reside is kindness, tenderheartedness, and the forgiveness. That ought to exist in our family relations. But also, look at humanity. Look at humanity. Look at Matthew chapter 5. Matthew chapter 5. And you all understand these things exist. You know what happens in everyday society? Matthew 5, verse number 21. When you can't get along with your co-workers, with your neighbors, people that don't like you and you don't like them, what does the world tell you to do? Just write them off. Consider them dead. And we say sometimes, you know what, he or she is dead to me. Why would we care? Why would not teaching at all? Well, we got to realize here, we got to live with people, live around people. Matthew chapter 5, verse number 21 begin. I want you to know what Jesus says.
Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill, and whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment.
Now, we all know that one of the 10 commandments, Exodus chapter 20, was, thou shalt not kill. Literally, thou shalt not do any murder.
Right.
So we know that, we understand that, and sometimes people use that as a measure of how good they are. Well, I haven't killed anybody. We understand that. You may not have killed anybody, but you probably have been angry at somebody sometimes. What does he say next?
But I say unto you, that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause,
Now that's the point that
shall be in
Jesus
danger of the judgment.
That you are angry without cause. That's the point that he's making. You can't just go around here being mad and upset and angry with folks without a just cause. You mad or you upset because it didn't go your way. You didn't get the raise. You didn't get the promotion. So he is saying, he's talking about the kind of anger that's without a just cause. Read on.
And whosoever say to his brother, Raca, shall be in danger of the council.
You're going to be in danger of the council. You say rape. That's an Aramaic word for fool. Read on.
But whosoever shall say thou fool shall be in danger of hell fire.
You so mad, you call everybody fool now. Some people get that mad. But note what he says.
Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and remember therefore that thou hast ought against thy brother, God gives thee, leave thee thy gift before the
You know what Jesus teaches you? You can't even worship until you go and reconcile with your brother. But you know what happens so many times? We have oaths one with another. We have disagreements one with another. And we never ever go to that brother or sister that we have an ought with, and then we try to come and be and worship God. Sing it loud as we can sing. Say amen as much as we want to. But we have not reconciled to that brother or sister. How many times do we have to deal with people, and the first thing people say, well, I didn't know they were married. But everybody else over here knew about it. But the two people who were involved, the one party don't even know that they upset. Well, we got to learn how to do. We got to learn how to fix these everyday problems the way that Jesus told us. Notice back in verse number 22, 23 again. If thou bring thy gift to the altar, that's Old Testament worship, and there at the altar, remember that thy brother had ought against thee. What did Jesus say in verse 24? Leave there thy gift before the altar. Go thy way. I want you to notice this word of importance. First,
be reconciled.
Reconciliation in this instance is more important than you offering this gift. That's what's most important. But how many times do we try to operate by coming to worship, coming to Bible class, and we know we've offended somebody, we've said something, we've done something, and we hope the situation don't come up and we just hope it go away.
Preach, brother.
It don't work like that. Not only that, but a supplementary passage to Luke chapter 17. Luke chapter 17. You won't begin to realize how important it is for people to understand that we got to work these situations out. And we got to work them out between those who are involved. It should be the case. Everybody in Easthaven know that me and Brother Hampton got all against each other. That should be the case. If me and Brother Hampton got all against each other, we need to work it out ourselves.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Brother White and Brother Lloyd and Brother Jackson need to know. We need to work that out ourselves. Luke chapter 17 and verse number 3, what does he say?
Take heed to yourself. If thy brother trespass against thee, rebuke him. And if he repent, forgive him.
No, he said forgive him. And guess what? After I rebuke him, or after he rebukes me, whatever the situation calls for, after forgiveness is extended, guess what? That's the end of it. Let's wipe our hands clean, let's move on.
All right.
But we can't do that if everybody else know about it. Because what ends up happening is when Brother Hampton's family know about it, and then my family know about it, and then there's no reconciliation, guess what happened? Now Tammy's mad at my wife. Now DJ mad at Chloe. What Chloe did?
That's all right, Freeman.
And now we got this family don't like this family, that family don't like that family, and all of a sudden it's just a trickle down effect to the rest of the congregation. When as long as me and Brother Heaven knew about it,
All right.
and we took care of it,
That's it.
and we squashed it, and we worked it out, and nobody else knows about it, you all don't know about it, we can come here just like right now, he can read the script for me, and I can talk to him.
All right.
But what we try to do, we have situations, I go tell my family, what you think I'm doing? And your unspiritual family member, carnal-minded family member, will tell you the wrong thing and just blow the situation out of proportion. That's humanity 101.
Listen to the
That's
wrong
Christianity
person.
101. That's why Jesus said that's more important than you offering a gift. You got to make sure you go and be reconciled to your brother. Keep reading that Luke chapter 17.
And if he trespass against thee 7 times in a day.
Even if the situation keep going on and on, if I keep offending Brother Hampton 7 times in a day, first of all, I got a problem. If I keep offending him 7 times in a day, maybe I need to move on. We shouldn't be together that long in one day's time where I keep offending him. Okay. That's the first thing. But if I do that, if Brother Hammond rebuked me 7 times in a day and he forgive me, guess what? That ends the situation. But then look at verse number 5.
And the apostles said unto the Lord, increase our faith.
You see how the apostles struck